Have you ever wondered what the world would be like if the English Premier League was structured like the NBA? Probably not, because there's a chance that you are normal, but I am a fan of the Miami Heat in the NBA and also a fan of football, as I'm sure you can tell by the fact I am playing Football Manager. Football, soccer, hell, if you're an Aberdeen fan perhaps. In fact, many of you might not even know how the NBA is structured. So let me explain it to you. The NBA is designed in such a way that it is self-regulating. In theory, the teams that finish down the bottom of the league at the end of the season will then be rewarded with the best players coming in through the draft. The best young players, they will have the chance to select these players and rebuild, get their way back up to the top, providing they haven't given away all of their draft picks. But like the Premier League in the NBA, there's no promotion. However, that is about where the similarities end. There is no relegation. So I have removed that in the Premier League, as well as a host of other things, in order to attempt to emulate how the league is designed. So I will be running a simulation today in Football Manager 2022 for 75 league seasons. Why 75? Because that is how long the NBA has been around for. If you like this concept, please do let me know by leaving a like down below, and maybe we'll see a little bit more like this, and subscribe so you don't miss out on it. Now, you may have noticed that there is no divisions in this database. In the NBA, in basketball, East versus West. Essentially, I am an editor noob, so I could not quite work out how to do that, but maybe I will in future in a round 2 of this video. In the NBA, the winners of the East then goes and faces the winner of the West, and they will be crowned champions throughout the playoffs. However, I have been able to create a playoff system in this league. The top 8 teams will then start to face off each other in a cup-style tournament. First versus 8th, second versus 7th, and so on until there is only one winner. So if you finish top of the league, that does not guarantee anything. The only things that guarantee are that you will have had more points than the team below you before it's then decided by the results between the teams, a head-to-head record like the NBA, before going to goal difference and then goals scored. However, there is also one more thing. It'll also guarantee that you receive less prize money than the teams below you. In the NBA, if you finish first, the likelihood is you will receive a bad draft pick. You'll be further down the pecking order in the following season. I can't emulate that in this, of course there is no draft, so you finish top of the league, you get less money to invest in your team next season. Starting off with 8 million for finishing first before it goes all the way down to the bottom of the league where you receive a whopping 100 million for being the worst team in the league. That's crazy, right? Yes, it is, but it's not the only thing that I have changed. Norwich City predicted to finish bottom of the league. Well, they would get the best draft pick, so they get the most money. Not only that, they also have the best youth facilities, so in theory they should then produce the best young players. You're getting it now, it's just like the NBA. And Man City, the team predicted to finish top of the league, then have the worst youth facilities. They will get the bums at the end of the draft. Jimmy Butler was 30th actually, I shouldn't say that. But yes, in the editor it was structured so in terms of youth facilities, youth coaching, youth recruitment, top of the league got number 1 in that, and all the way down to 20th, their youth facilities, etc., all graded as a 20, the maximum. So hopefully by the end of this video, we will see these teams down the bottom of the league having had the roles reversed, and maybe even back again after 75 years, having been at the top of the league, enjoying their peak spells before going back down. Who knows, but we will be keeping out for probably the bottom 5. That would be very interesting if they do go on to self-regulate and win the league. And likewise, the top 4 or 5 if they end up down the bottom, in theory, in the relegation spots. What's relegation? We're in a new world now. And in terms of competitions, Leicester, yep, they should be in Europe. They should be in the FA Cup. They should be in the Carabao Cup. Nope, it's just the league. In the NBA, there's no external competitions for each of the clubs. So It's exactly the same in the Premier League. It might be a little bit more boring, you may say, but that adds even more emphasis onto the Premier League. It's what everyone wants to win. I also couldn't really work out how to do it scheduling wise with loads of competitions and then playoffs all of a sudden at the end of the year, potentially another 8 games. It was chaos. But if you do want to see Leicester playing in other competitions such as perhaps even the Champions League, check out my Leicester save that I did earlier in this Football Manager. Link will be on the end screen, don't go anywhere. We've got 75 years of NBA action to look at, Premier League action even. But first we will take a little look at the Premier League after 1 year, just to give you an example of how things have worked. Manchester City did go on to lift the championship despite not winning the actual league itself in the regular season. It looks pretty much as we would have expected, certainly at the top of the league and definitely down the bottom too. Before it went through the quarterfinals, then the semi-finals and the finals. You know how tournaments work. It's based off 2 legs. It's standard, it's simple. However, we will take a look at Norwich's finances, for example. How have they improved? Well, they've now got 66 million in the bank, 35 million quid to spend next season. They've taken a massive hike here in terms of their finances, and they've got a very decent young youth prospect coming through the ranks too. Already worth 12 to 35 million apparently. It's working a charm. We will then look at 10 years, 25 years, 50 years before the big 75.
A few moments later.
Well, it's not gone quite as I'd hoped yet after 10 years. Man City, still very much the champions, having run away with the league in the regular season before then going on to win the playoffs. However, there has been some regulation. Arsenal have somehow won the league twice, so something must be right. And as you can see, Norwich now after 10 years, up to 13th. The league is looking rather different, as you can tell. Liverpool now in 20th, that self-regulation thing working better for some than others. Newcastle have won a league, which maybe I suppose is quite likely in the next 10 years given their financial backing now. But I think they would have been given a little bit of a boost by this, by Man City getting less money, obviously still backed by massive money owners. Don't know what happened there, I malfunctioned. But after a while, they will move on. Not die, well, maybe, I don't know. But they should sort of balance themselves out a little bit more. Maybe that's something I could have done, looked at the finances of the leagues, maybe balanced it out a little bit more. Let me know in the comments down below what you think. Any other changes you might have made. But yes, things are looking rather similar to they are in real life. Other than, Chelsea down in 12th, Leicester have dropped down after being half decent at the start of the save too. Liverpool down, Everton where they belong. It will be interesting to see in a little longer how much things will improve. I mean, Watford have really improved, haven't they? They were down the bottom of the league initially. Their finances, estimated value of 346 million. Well, they've been a bit chaotic, admittedly, but I'll be interested to see. I mean, this guy is absolutely brilliant. Came through the ranks at Watford, and that's exactly what you are wanting. It's essentially a number 2 or number 3 pick in the draft. He's only 5'5", he would not do well in the NBA. But one thing that is maybe a little bit of a concern is the reputation of the league. It's really dropping down. That's probably due to the fact they cannot play European football, because I banned it. Wow. I can't even see where it is. I can see the Cinch Premiership. I don't see the English Premier League anywhere. Oh dear. This has got very bad. And you still see the quality of players that were in there, didn't you? Where is it ranked? It is 20th. Okay. I'm interested to see how the national team are actually faring as well. Sterling's getting a bit old, isn't he? A lot of the players now playing abroad. This is something I didn't consider, but something to keep an eye on. How many of them are actually playing in England? You've got Joe Bursick still there, Calum Doyle, there's a few at quite a lot in Newcastle actually, but more players going abroad. Maybe that's just the way things are working, maybe more players are trying to go abroad and test themselves, but something to keep an eye on. Are the better players now moving abroad? Maybe the money's better? We'll see. And now, after 25 full seasons, in 2047, things haven't changed as much as I would have liked. Man City, Newcastle and Arsenal absolutely dominating things, but there has been a Spurs win, so that's unrealistic, and Chelsea too. But with those big three now dominating, it is looking a lot like maybe the NBA, you could say. Golden State Warriors, wherever LeBron is, and then throwing an occasional wild card such as the Bucks. That's essentially what's happening. But after Watford performing so well 15 years ago now, they are now back down to 14th. But Manchester United have joined Liverpool as one of the worst teams in the league, which is interesting. Man City beginning to fall away too, now starting to miss out on playoffs. It'll be interesting to see the teams down the bottom if they can then boost themselves back up. The top 8 is looking very, very different, benefiting now from years of financial backing and great youth prospects. Burnley, Crystal Palace have broken in, and Brentford, I think, were maybe even predicted to finish third bottom in the very first year. It's starting to work a little bit. What's not working for the Premier League is their reputation, now down to 102nd, 1.5 star. I think that is due to the lack of money that is now in the league, because they're not getting that Champions League money. I'm going to have a look at some of the quality of the players to see how they are. But we're below the Cypriot First Division right now. It is appalling. Another look at perhaps the national team. I don't know how that's going to be right now. Again, all of the best players apparently playing abroad, but the rest of the squad, how many of them in England? Oh, something I didn't consider. They're playing for the teams that were not in the Premier League. Is that where the money's gone? Who knows? In terms of players like Oren Curry, though, still in the Premier League, one of the better teams at Brentford. They are looking very, very good. I presume he maybe come through the youth ranks. He did. I'm interested to see how teams spend money now, because if they've not got Champions League money, the best teams certainly don't have a lot to play around with. Newcastle, of course, had great financial backing. After 25 years, their manager looks very young, goodness me. 33 million they spent. Does it decrease at all? 6.25, 8.25. Still big flurries of spending in there, but not spending massive amounts of money year upon year. That also might be due to the benefit of producing more young players. I'll be interested to see how the likes of sort of Norwich does, or maybe even Brentford themselves, given the fact they're up the top of the league. How much have they spent? 33 million? It's not massive amounts to get them up there. 400k, maybe there is a lot of youth products now involved in this system. It's interesting, and I quite like it. But in terms of nationalities within squads, it certainly seems to be getting a lot more English based. Maybe that's because they're producing better players, or there's more money elsewhere. It's interesting, but it's sort of getting less and less diverse. But if you think about it, in the NBA, I suppose this is due to the amount of people that play basketball in America, but a lot of them American. And then you've got players from Europe sort of dotted around the league, but mainly playing abroad. And there's some very, very good European players. Look at Kevin De Bruyne. Sorry, Luka Doncic. Thumbnail joke. And sticking with Brentford, after seeing them so high up the league, now 25 years ago, we're 50 years into the future in 2072, they're back down to 16th. Let's see how things are looking now. Arsenal still dominating, but Crystal Palace have won a title, as well as Burnley. Oh, it's working. Brentford went on to win something as well. This is simply beautiful. I am very, very intrigued. How do we see the league winners? History, past winners. Over the years, Brentford have been pretty dominant. They went through a little streak there. 3 titles in 4 years. Burnley grabbing one. Man City having not won one for 20 years, then came back up to win a league title. Newcastle have been potting around the top for a long while. Liverpool, we saw them sitting down the bottom of the league, just won the league that last season. This is very, very interesting. Watford did indeed win one as well. Oh, this is absolutely beautiful. The league's gone down another 5 spots, but it's rose 1 apparently recently, and Newcastle, after being at the top of the league for so long, now down near the bottom. Leicester still down there, Chelsea too, But Liverpool are back up. Manchester United back up. Man City had started missing out on playoffs. They're back in. Arsenal absolutely dominating, clearly. But this is beautiful. This is absolutely beautiful. Norwich are now in there after being previewed in the season preview, being predicted that they're going to finish bottom of the league. They're up there. I hope they get a title by the end of this video. And looking at the money that's been spent now, 50 years later, in this save that's loading up the database, there's not a lot in there in terms of big transfers that have happened very recently. In fact, none at all in this top section. 2034, 55 million was spent. But now, transfer fees getting less and less clearly. How much are the likes of Newcastle spending these days? Obviously, they went through periods of spending 45 million and things like that. 195k, was that just a freak thing? No, it wasn't. They're one of the worst teams in the league, so they should have money. What's going on? I am very, very confused. How much are likes of Arsenal spending on players then? Is this similar or nothing? Spent how much? So how good is Matt Bruce from West Ham? Okay, they signed him for free and he's still very, very decent. So the quality of player still not going down, but he's now at Sheffield United. What's happening? What year are we looking at here? 65, 66. Whoops. Still not a lot of money being spent though. In the most recent season, spent 2.5 million and a free transfer, or for example, 700k on Toby Clark. Oh, the quality has taken a little bit of a dip. How are the likes of Norwich doing? Teams that had the best sort of youth products. They have Mike Sharp as their hot prospect. Okay, they're still producing decent players. Technically, maybe not the best, still only 19 years old, so plenty of time to work on that. And with those very, very decent mentals, plus the physical attributes, I think they'll be okay. And he's playing regularly for them. Okay, things are still looking good. Phew. How are Man City doing in terms of producing players? Eddie Myler, ooh, not good. They, of course, had the worst youth rating. He's okay. 18 years old at Man City. You'd maybe expect them to be better since they're getting a little bit better as well. Have they, in fact, spent any money to improve their youth facilities? Okay, they're back up to good and adequate, but given they were up at the top of the league and they spent a few years down getting more money, I would expect them to have invested a little bit more. But given they had one youth facilities, it's okay. And in the English national team, right now, there's absolutely no one who currently plays in the Premier League. How much are players that are playing like Fulham now being paid? 27 grand? 27 grand for someone that good? That's an absolute steal. What about when they're playing for Celtic? How much do they be paid? 42 grand? Still very decent. It's interesting. It's very, very interesting. Are the best players sort of still being like sort of honed at these big clubs? I don't know. Under 19 squad, yeah, a lot of them still at Premier League clubs. Okay, maybe they're sort of being sold to earn more money to the teams from leagues with more money. Oh, this is not what I expected, but it's interesting. But in 2097, in the final year of the simulation, still, the Premier League somehow has a better reputation than the Championship. Even more impressively, Suleiman Tari now playing in the Premier League again. He can't stop that boy. Norwich are now back down in 18th, which you would have thought suggested they'd been up there for a while. Maybe they've won something, but alas, no. Man City back to winning a title. I think that's Southampton's first one that we've seen. West Ham went through a period of dominance, and still Arsenal don't go away. Burnley in there too. Norwich won a league! I am so proud. This video has been a success. The worst team in the Premier League has been self-regulated to win a league title. They finished runners-up 1 year, two. Not quite the period of dominance I was maybe hoping for them, but it's been very, very, very interesting. Oh, that's made me very happy. West Ham, basically the 1990s Chicago Bulls there. In fact, won 7 championships too. Maybe they would have done that if Michael Jordan hadn't retired. He played for Chicago Bulls, not West Ham. Sorry, just to clarify. But as the league reputation still falls, now down 215th, I am interested to know whether Norwich are still producing fantastic young players. It looks to me like he's very, very decent at just the age of 16 too. The mentals are very, very decent for that. Man City, how are they doing? Can they start producing good players again? This fella is out on loan at Nottingham Forest, and he is bloody decent at just 19 years old. Have they improved their facilities? They've got no youth recruitment. That's baffled me. But the teams in the league still very much dominated by English players. I've looked at Newcastle United, if not English, very much British in there as well. I didn't really expect this to happen. I don't think I expected the finances of teams to take such a hit. 3.5 million spent by Arsenal in recent years. It's really not a lot. I want to look at how West Ham have done since they went through a spell of absolute dominance. 1.3 million 1 year, 56,000. How good is a free transfer these days? Not particularly great, and he's playing a lot for them as well. This has been. There doesn't seem to be much consistency throughout this. Players are still very good. They're not paying much money for them. I don't know. It's been absolutely baffling. The English national team, I don't know why I've gone to Shola Ameobi, still very much dominated by players not playing in the Premier League. In fact, there is not one at all. Many playing at Rangers though, which is interesting. Did they come through at Rangers or... Yes, they did. Okay, that's confusing. Dan Goddard came through at Watford. That makes sense. Maybe a lot of the players now coming through at these teams and then shifting elsewhere. Southampton as well. Very, very, very interesting. I think there's a few tweaks I could have maybe made in creating this video. I would love to be able to do the divisions, perhaps North versus South instead of East versus West, but that's far too confusing. I had no idea how to do it. I don't even know if it is possible, but maybe it will happen in future. If you have enjoyed this video, please do leave a like on it if you want to see more. Also subscribe. Currently doing a Scotland in the Premier League save as we attempt to somehow win the league. I don't think it's going to happen, but you never ever know. Make sure to check it out and you will eventually find out. I think this video has been a success. Let me know in the comments down below what you think. I'm just glad Norwich won the league.